Hello, and welcome back to yet another Geek Show where I hid the spotlight up my ass for 2 years. This is your host, Alex Ecker.
This is your host, Dalton Munnell. That was decent. I'll give you that.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I appreciate it.
I gave you time for that joke. That's good.
I thought about that before we even started.
I could have taken an impression there. Maybe it would have helped it. Do you have a good walk-in impression? All right.
Not
first
really.
try, live attempt.
I can't even. I don't know. Like your grandfather, he put this up his ass. And your face.
All right. I've heard worse. I'm gonna keep that. We're good.
All right. Cool.
All right.
Cool.
All right. Tarantino movie number 2. How you feeling?
I love this movie.
Good. Okay.
I loved it.
That was exactly the response I wanted.
Good. Yeah. It was, granted, there was a lot in there that made me a little uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Certain things, but we'll get there. But it was a good movie overall. Really. Yeah. I liked it.
So this to me was Tarantino has at this point gotten his big indie debut, and then he was actually handed money. And then this is him learning from everything he did the first time, plus money. And as much as I loved Reservoir Dogs, I think this is a good bit better.
It blows it out of the water, dude.
Good. All right. I don't know if that's the general consensus, but it's mine. So
yeah. Well,
we're on the same page here.
Coming from a standpoint that I've only seen this parts of Hateful Eight and Reservoir Dogs, like you're getting to see like my first impressions, like period, with any Tarantino movie.
Yeah. So how much of this movie did you already recognize through memes?
Yes. Like almost fucking all of it.
Because the whole time watching this last night, I was saying to Delaney, like, man, Alex is going to laugh his ass off realizing how much of the internet is about this movie. I didn't even remember until this rewatch the context for John Travolta, the looking around confused meme. Yeah. I know you guys can't see that Alex just performed the meme for me, but it was
You're welcome.
decent.
That's my John Travolta impression.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Did you know John Travolta was a good actor?
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't know. I feel like this might be the only movie of his I've seen. No, that Punisher movie too. And I feel like I never took his face seriously. Like growing up, like okay, his time was before mine. And so I'm aware growing up that, I don't know, John Travolta's some big successful celebrity, I guess, some actor, but seeing his face, for some reason, I never took him seriously. And then in this movie, I'm like, no, he's one of the greats. I get it. For this movie alone, he's one of the greats.
Because I haven't seen him in such a long time. He almost looked like a knockoff action movie star. And I hate saying that, but it's kind of true.
Sure.
You know what I mean? By the way, how young was Samuel L. Jackson when he did this movie? Because he's really fucking young here, ain't he?
Do you realize how old he is now? Because, I mean...
Is he in his 60s?
I think he might be 70 now, my dude.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so dude's in his 40s here.
Really?
That dude ages like a wizard. People are talking about the way Keanu ages. Nah.
Yeah.
Jackson.
No. Right. Holy shit. Wow, I did not realize that.
This might be my best Jackson, or my favorite Jackson performance.
Yeah.
I feel like...
I keep thinking
Travolta I've only seen in one other movie. Jackson I've probably seen in 30 movies. And this is...
Yeah.
And it's a shame if he never lives up to it, because I think this might have been his first movie that was a big deal.
Really?
Or was Jurassic Park before this? I mean, he was a bit part in that.
But I don't know.
But I know that, like, Sam Jackson, when Tarantino offered him this part, like the conversation leading up to that, Sam Jackson was, like, surprised Tarantino recognized and remembered him.
Really?
From auditioning for the previous movie. So Jackson's not a big deal at all at this point in his career, apparently. And then I don't know if he ever topped this. The stereotypes of who Jackson is, the kind of character he supposedly plays, is this character, but just not quite as well.
Yeah.
And I guess a good chunk of that is Tarantino's dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you go from the opening about living in France and getting a foot massage and killing motherfuckers to them knocking on a door. And okay, this whole scene, all right, the whole scene of did I break your concentration and all this other stuff, like I caught you guys during breakfast. There was some congressman that was in court and his name was also Brad.
Okay.
Do you remember this? Like this
No.
happened recently where like the dude like freaked out
No, I don't know what you're getting at.
because somebody mixed this footage with that interrogation scene.
Okay.
It's so good. So the entire time I'm trying to keep like focus on the movie and I'm like, shit, stop it, brain. Like, cause I'm laughing at like, cause the dude like freaked out and like became like a crybaby during his like court thing.
Okay.
And he's some sort of like, he's either like a congressman or something in politics. I don't know. I don't follow that shit. And just like, I'm sorry, did I break your concentration? Like at that point, I was like, fuck, no, don't laugh.
Yeah.
But that scene was phenomenal, actually.
It really is. Man, it's honestly, it's going to be hard for me to talk about this movie other than to say every scene of it is
honestly,
great
like,
and memorable. And I had nitpicks about Reservoir Dogs. I think I only shared one of them, but this just does so much right.
Yeah.
And Sam Jackson is so much of what is right.
This is going to be the most douchey, pretentious thing I've ever probably said to you in real time, but Samuel Jackson's really captivating in this movie.
Well, and so get this though, the final.
I've never used the word captivating before.
Have I ever said that word out loud? The final diner sequence.
Yes,
of him,
I loved it.
Yeah, of him talking my boy Timmy Roth out of it. He, at that point in time when they were doing like a test reading of the script, not shooting yet. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was even the audition for Jackson, even though the part was written for him, I believe. They didn't know that scene was going to be the end of the movie at the time.
Oh, really?
Like Tarantino didn't have it perfectly laid out yet. Mm-hmm. He didn't know, like he knew it was going to not be chronological, but didn't really know the order of everything. And upon testing that sequence, he's like, all right, I know how the movie ends now.
Okay. Oh, that's really cool. Because like Reservoir Dogs, this movie starts out in a diner and just having a great conversation. And like this conversation's kind of like, it seems like it's going nowhere until they start talking about robbing.
And like I said in the last spotlight, it kind of serves to make these people human. Like when a movie has hitmen in it, there's a certain persona we put on them and a certain way we expect them to behave, and we forget that they're gonna be people realistically and talk about dumb shit like whether or not you would rub a man's feet.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
For the record, no.
And then
just let me calm down on that argument.
You're not the fucking master?
I'm on Travolta's side all over that one.
It's very romantic.
Jackson's charisma could not sway me on that one.
Oh shit. So this is probably going to be a bigger discussion, but what the fuck is in the briefcase?
It doesn't matter.
Fair enough.
That's the thing. It's we've commented on it in the last movie, Tarantino cutting away from things that don't really matter. Mm-hmm. Same thing here. Doesn't matter what's in the briefcase.
Yeah.
Who cares?
And that's like the moments leading up to the bar you don't see until the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. And fuck, you don't realize how much actually happens between jump cuts like that until you see the ending of the movie. Mm-hmm. Like, wow, I like that took me back for a second, and I'm like, man, they're really trying to portray that things still happen while we're not seeing it.
Okay, I follow.
I really liked that. Well, that's what I got out of it. But where did the movie go after the this is a robbery, no one fucking move, be cool, and then the Brad and breaking concentration? It went to the bar where we only got a glimpse of Marcel Wallace.
Do we introduce Bruce Willis here?
Yeah. Actually, that's where they were talking. Mm-hmm. Which, what was it? He was supposed to go down in the fifth quarter of a fight, or fifth round. Sorry. Which leave it to Bruce Willis to be a punch and action hero in another movie. Super young Bruce Willis, though. Mm-hmm. like surprisingly. And I'm pretty sure we've seen his wang a couple times in this movie.
Yes.
Okay. So I wasn't imagining it.
Kind of surprising here that with a director who is supposedly known for lacking restraint, we've watched 2 R-rated movies of his, and the only nudity we've seen is Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis Willie.
Yeah, no
it is
taking
unbreakable.
advantage of his female actors at this point.
So we go from meeting Bruce Willis to not really knowing what his character is yet. He actually, you know what? I'm going to skip a little bit here. My takeaway from this movie is all these smaller stories kind of have like a moral to each. That's kind of how I seen it. I don't know about you.
Sure.
Because after that, wasn't it the date with Mia?
We skipped over Christopher Walken's scene because that happens before we see Bruce Willis. Although with this all being not chronological, I guess I don't really care that we keep this in order. Yeah, you see Bruce Willis as a kid before you see Bruce Willis, for sure.
No, definitely not. Because it happens, that scene happens right when he's sleeping in the locker room before the fight.
Okay. In any case.
Guaranteeing you.
Again, don't really care if we keep this in order. The movie's not in order, so...
Yeah,
whatever.
This movie's fucking everywhere, so it's perfect for us.
All right, I apologize for that last 2 minutes of utter gracelessness.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, I did say I kept the spotlight up my butt for 2 years, so it's going to be messy.
Oh, I guess that's all we have to say about that scene then.
Exactly.
Tarantino hired Walken just to do a couple-minute monologue about shoving a watch up his ass.
Right.
And Walken must have loved Reservoir Dogs because he said, yeah, all right.
Right, yeah. Because like the story was actually really interesting up until like the last like 20 seconds of it about putting it up a butt.
Oh, it's hilarious because he's just utterly killing it. And then that comes out of nowhere several minutes into the story. And does the kid even bat an eye at it? Does he give the slightest reaction of what?
No, that's the thing.
He does.
But
he's
he was like 5,
yeah, okay,
wasn't he?
that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, I'll allow it.
Oh, shit. I don't know, man. Like, the Bruce Willis aspect of the movie was confusing, to say the least. Like,
sure.
It didn't feel like it necessarily belonged until the last part when you see him in it.
Yeah, it felt much more loosely tied for a while.
Yeah. Which the moral in that one is when it, like, for me at least, when I was watching it, like after we finished with Zed, was sometimes your differences don't matter in a bigger crisis.
Sure.
Do we want to talk about this awkward stuff now? Get it out of the way, or do we want to wait?
There are several things you could be referring to here, and I have no idea.
GIMP.
I have no words about this.
Okay, so basically what happens, we'll just get Bruce Willis' story arc out of the way, because Bruce Willis is number one. He goes to Marcel Wallace and wants him to throw the fight so they can both get money out of it, I think. Or maybe he owes him money, and that's how he gets his money. Bruce Willis ain't having that. He kills the dude in the fight, goes to run, and he knows that Wallace is after him. Then his girlfriend, his wife, forgets his watch that was a poopy watch, and he has to go back to the apartment. He finds one of the thugs, kills him, leaves, and then ends up finding Marcel Wallace walking down the street and hits him with his car. They both end up in a store, and a dude holds them at gunpoint, knocks them out, and then takes them to the Deliverance Factory.
I was going to go with the dungeon, but all right.
You know. And they're trying to pick which one to have fun with first, and they pick Wallace. And
so Tarantino in this moment actually really forward thinking, because ordinarily, especially at this time, but all the way up until today, raping men is played for comedy pretty consistently.
Yeah. And
Tarantino says, no, this is a big enough deal that this is going to be the thing that makes these rivals forgive each other here and move on.
Right. And, you know, I I might be making
we're
jokes about it, but
we're
it's an
supposed
awkward
to laugh at
situation
the
thing.
GIMP.
So.
I'm not sure, but the male on male rape here, he definitely averted a normal thing where that's almost always comedy, and he says no, this is ruthlessly fucked up.
Right, and it like as soon as like I seen like when they were chained up and they were bound and gagged with literal gags, I knew it was gonna go someplace fucking weird.
Yeah,
but I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, not quite that weird.
Right. No, well, yeah, it's weird, but it's also fucked up. But it was a really cool moment at the same time when, you know, Zed gets a gut full of buckshot. And kind of ironic how in both of these Tarantino movies, the cop gets shot in the gut.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, I didn't think of it, but sure.
I think he's a cop. He's wearing a badge. But at that point, when they find mutual respect for each other, I thought that was a really cool, like, kind of moral point where, like, it was cool that he addressed the fact that it's not just a particular demographic or a typical or a gender that has that issue happen to them, and that it just happens to everyone. It doesn't matter. Yeah, and that was cool for him being kind of woke in it, but. I don't know, man. It was
some woke points for the director we just criticized for being the white guy who's going to say the N-word. Yeah. He could stand to be just a little more woke.
Yeah, a little bit. But I don't know. That was one of the more like, what the fuck? That was one of the more uncomfortable moments, but I appreciated that it was there despite it making me uncomfortable. Moving, I think we can move on from that. Sure. Because that was kind of like the end of Bruce Willis's. I think that's the last time we've seen him in the movie.
You know what? There's a different moment with Bruce Willis's character that made me really uncomfortable. Yeah. Which is, okay, they managed to do this without nudity because, as I said, Tarantino is shockingly kind of averse to the nudity despite the genre he's working in and the reputation he has, at least so far in his career. But the pretty prolonged like love sequence between Bruce Willis and his spouse, where like
oral pleasure moment,
where like the dialogue and like the heavy breathing and whatnot was really kind of unnecessarily intimate. And I don't want to, not actually unnecessarily, because what happens is every time I see a scene like this, when I see a sexual scene in film, I'm always asking myself, is there a purpose to what I'm seeing right now? Are they accomplishing something? Is there a narrative reason for what they're doing here? And I think what he was doing was using it, like getting us so unnecessarily intimate with them just to demonstrate the actual present level of love and affection there is right before he wakes up in the morning and realizes the watch is gone, to further emphasize how much it actually means to him, because he's not lashing out at just some chick. He's lashing out at someone that the movie just demonstrated the intimateness with.
Right. Okay, that's fair. My kind of takeaway was that we were supposed to see that in the end he still kept his pride, and that was his reason, was for someone that he loved, even though the scene was a little awkward and prolonged, and he wanted to make sure that they were kind of safe after he did what he did. Sure. You know? Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of, I think I like your reasoning a little bit more than mine. Okay, one little tiny nitpick here. How tiny did Bruce really look on that motorcycle?
I can't say that stood out to me, but it's a hilarious observation anyway.
It kind of is, just because like the bars are like way up here. Yeah. And
that said,
he's Bruce kind Willis, of like known as a big dude.
Yeah. That said, as excellent as Bruce Willis is, he's really outshone in this movie. So
yeah, it's weird not seeing him necessarily be, because he does have action moments. Yeah. But it's kind of shedding a different light on like his acting history or his acting repertoire, so to speak.
Weirdly, despite growing up with the idea in my head that he's mostly known as an action actor, at this point the movies of his I've seen are this one, Unbreakable, and The Sixth Sense, and so now in my head he's not an action star at all because I haven't seen him in an action movie.
Fair. Okay. I can see where you're coming from there.
Yeah, it's just a weird conflict in my mind, but yeah, as great as he is, he's really outshone in this movie by a lot of the other actors. We haven't mentioned Uma Thurman yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I wanted to go there with her and Travolta. Damn.
Those two in that I wouldn't
The
call it
diner
a diner.
scene?
Is it a diner? Yeah.
I would call it a diner.
Yeah, wasn't sure if that was the right word for that place or not, but in any case, this is one of my favorite scenes in all of cinema.
There's an interesting chemistry here because it's very relatable in the regards of like a first date where shit can be awkward.
Yeah.
And there's a point where you either keep it there
Or you break through
or you dive in. Exactly. Yeah. And it was interesting to see the chemistry between them because it felt so genuine.
Yeah, it's really convincing.
And because like we're like the context is that Mia is Marcel Wallace's wife, and the foot massage we brought up earlier. we're pulling a Tarantino on this podcast now.
So I didn't even think about it. So we're aware through this whole situation how dangerous it is, but I didn't even think about the fact that we're introduced to Travolta with him kind of defending him throwing the dude off the roof, like not being like, no, that's okay, but being like, yeah, I get it though. And now he's the dude really pushing the line after the fact.
Right, exactly. And so there's even more tension built there, but it's supposed to build the tension for you with it's the bulk of it is meeting somebody on a first date because it's a date. Travolta, it's a date.
Yeah.
Because he spends the whole movie fighting it isn't, and it's the narrative's way of introducing the tension in a different way, and if you understand that, it clicks,
Sure.
But yeah, then the next thing you know, like she goes to the bathroom to do a line, and then they come back and they're super fucking cool, and then they're dancing.
Yeah,
and that scene was at first it was awkward. Much like a first date conversation.
Exactly.
And then eventually.
And I like that even this badass mobster is awkward and uncomfortable. And so is the wife of the even more badass mobster.
Right. It's cool to see because like
these are real
you think
people.
a mobster wouldn't dance or a mobster wouldn't do this or that. And it's like, nah, fuck it. You do what you want to do. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. And I thought that when I seen that, and I'm like, man, that's a cool thought.
Yeah.
It's a really neat idea. And that scene is, aside from the imagery, because there's so much going on just when Travolta's walking through the diner, you see different eras, different genres of music, different visual arts. There's so much. Yeah. I'd have to go back and rewatch that scene to just catch it all. And then after the fact, when they're at the house, and he knows that he's going to do something wrong when he realizes that he is, and he's just talking himself out of it.
The classic talking to yourself in the mirror.
Yeah, the classic talking yourself into the mirror.
We don't do that anymore.
You don't?
We don't do that. Like in film, in storytelling, we don't do that anymore. I wish we did. It works for me.
Yeah. It's something interesting, yeah. That's a very relatable thing to see in movies too. It's like a self-validation or self affirmation. But we forgot to mention that he got what was it, a bag of heroin or was it a bag of coke?
I couldn't tell you. Yeah. Whatever.
I don't know.
Some
that he gets
shit,
from a dealer. Yeah, some good dope. And she snorts it and almost dies. And this scene had its own moral too, for me, because he takes her to that drug dealer and he's like, "Look, you got to help me fucking fix this. It's your fault, even though it's both of their faults."
Yeah, and
hers, of course. Well, it's everyone's fault. If you look further back, it's always going to be everyone's fault. But
I like that philosophy. We can just pick out every problem in the world and go, if you dig. You dig enough layers deep, it's everyone's fault, really.
I mean, it is, though. It really is.
That's beautiful.
Thanks, man. I came up with it myself. It's my fault that it exists.
Anyway, the actual moral here.
So she's like lying dead on the floor. You have the lady with all her shit in her face, the metal. That dude's wife, as John Travolta called it, who's not helping at all in this situation. the drug dealer trying to find the adrenaline.
I was so mad for the drug dealer.
Right?
I almost yelled at my own TV, and I don't do that. I almost yelled, shut the fuck up at my own TV.
I know.
And I am not
I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, man, I have it really good. But anyways, we see her dying on the floor. Mia dying on the floor, and they're trying to get the adrenaline ready. And neither of them want to do it. But if neither of them do it, she's going to die. Yeah. And the moral in that sort of story, I thought, was if you don't do anything, nothing's going to get done. Or if you don't do something, someone's going to get hurt.
Yeah, just do it anyway.
Right. Because what are they worried about? Killing her even more? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I thought that was a really cool, like, take action when you see it.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
But what are your thoughts on this scene?
I mean, I generally agree with that, but honestly, for a lot of, like you've talked about picking out different morals here and there, and honestly, for me with this movie and maybe a lot of Tarantino, I haven't really looked for that. I haven't tried to figure out what is this scene saying to me so much as I just try to appreciate
or understand the vision,
the characters really just being along for the ride. I never think about, does the scene say something when it's Tarantino's movies? I just think of how is this character convincing me that they're real and making themselves compelling to watch. I'm kind of along for the ride there, for better or worse. So yeah, which is for better or worse, I'm watching that scene thinking, does this entertain me? Yes or no? And it sure as hell does.
Are you not entertained, motherfucker? But yeah, I really liked these interactions. Travolta does really fucking good in these, even though like it. How do I want to say this? Because he's a great actor, but he doesn't seem it if you look at it from an actor perspective. If you look at it from like a realistic perspective in this particular scene, if you were looking at it as like, oh, this guy's an actor, he sucks. No, if you're looking at it as this guy's in a fucking bad situation and needs to get it fixed, he's phenomenal. You know, like it's the right blend of humanistic behavior and professionalism in your career. You know what I mean? It's I don't know how you would even prepare for stuff like that, where like you have the sense of urgency, but you still want to be this character. You know what I mean? Because like you said in a previous scene, he's a mobster and he's dancing. Yeah. You know, and how would a mobster react in this situation without making it look like you're acting?
And it's Tarantino's balance of how do we make a character that's kind of shitty and make you still care about them. So like, to my immediate memory, like other than it's outside of the mobster stuff, like we started with the premise, oh, he's a mobster. And so like by default, he's on the bad side. But other than dealing with moments that go wrong, he's not like really doing, like, for as far as movie baddies go, he's not really doing a shitty thing. Like he's not like going out and serial killing people for the hell of it. He's not giving drugs to children. He's doing
he's only asking kids he's only asking kids if they believe in miracles.
He's doing mobster stuff, which is the premise of the movie. And then like, okay, he shoots the kid in the face, but that's not what he was planning on doing. It was more this thing went wrong. And so like he fucked up, but that wasn't what he wanted to do. He didn't want Mia to almost die, and he shouldn't have had the shit in his coat, and it's still partially his fault, but like he wasn't trying to do that. Just something went wrong because he wasn't being responsible. And my point here is not that he's good or forgivable or anything, but that Tarantino plays with a balance.
Yeah. And you know, now that you mentioned that, he
doesn't make him
this
a
character.
Nazi.
This character's kind of arc in the movie is bad shit's happening to him, but he fixes it. You know what I mean? Like it's a weird thing. And then
other than, I mean, he can't fix shooting
a kid.
What's that guy's name? The actor.
The kid that got shot.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. Brad's friend. That was his name in the movie.
All right. It's gonna kill me. I'm forgetting his name.
Yeah, go ahead and look it up.
SNL guy in Futurama, whatever.
It was right there as soon as he said that.
Yeah, too much time on this. Doesn't matter. He couldn't fix that situation. And by the way, the bit where he says, "Oh shit, I shot him in the face." That was That was his improvisation, because what was written was just, oh, I shot him, but he basically presented the idea that if he says, oh, I shot him in the face, and says it in the cadence he did, where it's kind of like, oh, I stepped on his foot. So, like, it adds this extra layer of comedy, like he's not taking this seriously. Like, oh man, I dropped my ice cream.
Well,
I guess I just undid my whole thing about him being a good person. Now I'm like, yeah, he thought it was not that big a deal. He shot this kid in the face.
Yeah, right. You know, I would finish his character arc in the dining room scene, but all he was doing was taking a poop for the most part. But his character arc,
you see him walk to the bathroom in the opening scene, by the way.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
In the opening diner scene. I mean, you wouldn't have known he was a character at that point, so you wouldn't have been watching for it.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't have been noticing for that. But his story ends with Bruce Willis, because he shoots him with the Uzi with the silencer. And he was reading the book,
and we end
that he was reading in the toilet.
Yeah, and we kind of end Bruce Willis' story there, but we kind of don't. Mm-hmm. It's weird. His death scene is more relevant to Bruce Willis' story than his own.
Right.
Because his story, even though he dies chronologically later, is really over in that diner scene.
Which my wife brought up a really good point, because we'll get to Sam Jackson's thing.
Oh, that actor. Sorry. Phil Lamar, Hermes.
Oh, okay. There we go.
My bad.
John Travolta's character refused to change.
Okay.
So that was the moral of his entire story at the end. He refused to change, so he died the way he was. If you think about it that way. Mm-hmm. Like, because with Sam Jackson, he decided to turn a new leaf when he's seen what he wanted to see.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. Are we ready to move on to Samuel Jackson's character?
Yeah, go for it. Jules,
okay. Okay, we already, like, we've talked enough about the opening scene where he kills the dude. They get the briefcase. On the way there, Travolta shoots Hermes.
Yeah.
And so that happens, and then they go to his friend Jimmy, who isn't that Tarantino?
Right.
Okay. And then we meet Mr. Wolf, who wasn't he in Reservoir Dogs too?
Okay, I was going to mention this to you until I saw it on Wikipedia while we were recording right now. I did not recognize that was Mr. White.
Okay.
Until I saw his name.
I thought that was him.
That actor's name is Harvey Keitel, and I read his name while we were discussing Reservoir Dogs, and I did not recognize that this was him.
You didn't recognize that was Mr. Wolf?
Because the character he's playing is so different.
Oh, I recognized the face, and I'm like, I feel like he was in Reservoir Dogs.
Also, little fun behind the scenes moment here for the audience. I just messaged you. I'll explain afterwards why I'm distracted. And it's because I was on Phil Lamar's Wikipedia page and Pulp Fiction wasn't on there. And I thought I was insane. And so I was over here worried that I had really embarrassed myself trying to Google whether he was actually in there. And he was. I'm okay. Which is why I'm sharing this with you now and not editing it out.
Still relevant because we're talking about Mr. Wolf.
And then you went and made a Hermes joke. And I was like, man, how am I going to fix that if I was wrong?
Well, all right. This whole scene with Mr. Wolf, I thought, because we didn't see Samuel L. Jackson after the bar, but we seen Tarantino's character, Vince. Or Travolta, sorry.
Yeah.
We seen Vince, but we didn't see Jules. So I thought he died somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So I was waiting for this entire scene to happen, and I was waiting for him to die because Mr. Wolf, at one point in the phone call, he says, "None will be missed."
Okay.
And I thought he was referring to everyone that was involved in the situation, including Tarantino. What he was really getting at was no details will be missed.
Okay, interesting.
And the dialogue between Vince and Jules, though, about picking up bits of skull and brain in the back seat. He's like, why the fuck am I doing this? He's like, I'm switching seats, motherfucker.
You know, it's interesting. I didn't think about this before, but I've said that, like, kind of Tarantino's specialty is using this realistic, yet I'm calling it realistic, but it's so much wittier than anyone you ever meet in person. Like, everyone is the wittiest person, so maybe it's not totally realistic, but to a point. for film dialogue. I talk about him using this realistic dialogue to humanize characters that are in roles that we tend to see a certain way. Mr. Wolf is kind of how you normally see this role. And then he's talking to Jackson and Travolta, who are not at all that. And it's funny because he's like, he's not squeamish about the blood and shit. It's just not his problem.
Right.
He's in charge here. You do it because he said so.
But this entire scene is just, it's a great dance between the two characters' banter. You know, when we get to see it, I love it. It's so funny.
It could also be a narrative excuse, a thematic excuse to get Jules to change his clothes so that he's not dressed like a mobster in the diner scene where he decides to turn his life around.
Right. Yeah.
They're dressed to like, what is it? A couple of dorks.
Yeah, a couple of dorks. Which is the most PG insult in this entire movie.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, after what Tarantino says, a few minutes before that.
Yeah.
Chills it down to a couple of dorks.
Right.
Like it's the funniest shit he's ever thought of.
Oh, man. Yeah, wow. Tarantino really did say the N-word the most in this movie, didn't he?
2 or 3 times, yeah.
No, more than 2 or 3, I feel. Yeah, definitely. Because he refers to it as the storage, remember? And then he says it 8 more times after to Sam Jackson. Man.
Yeah, and 20 times every night before he goes to sleep.
That's what he refers to his bed.
He brushes his teeth and then 20 times as he walks to his bed. Just helps him get comfortable.
No. Anyways.
I'm not sorry. Tarantino, knock it off. Come on now.
Right. Oh, shit. But after they get rid of the car and everything, and then they're at the diner, this is probably one of the best scenes of the whole movie.
Okay.
Because like you see like all this shit going on, and you just see Samuel L. Jackson like this. They don't know what they're doing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just has that air of like, these kids are fucking jokes.
Sure.
And then like you're expecting some like big like bloody battle scene at the end, and it completely did not go that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing actually happens in the diner, or there's really, how many people die in this movie? Travolta and Hermes, and I guess a couple other people where they abducted Hermes.
And then the foot rub guy, but we don't see him die.
Yeah, so not really him.
So
is it only like
5
4 people?
5, I think, because Gimp got hanged.
Oh.
One dude got sliced with a ninja sword.
Oh, and we can assume that
Cop dude got killed.
Okay. I was forgetting that whole story arc as I was thinking my way through that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah. And then the few people, because the dude laying on the couch, Brad, and then
I counted them. That was like,
I didn't.
There were, I think, 3 people in there.
Yeah, I didn't count them. So 3, 6.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't matter. Point is, Tarantino's reputation is there's
guns, explosions, crime.
It's weird when there's violence in his movies.
Racism.
It's a lot. There's not a high amount of violence in his movies. It's just that when the violence is there, it is very violent.
It's quality over quality in this sort of regard.
Quality. I think you just said the same word twice.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
I did say the wrong thing.
We'll see if that holds true for the rest of his movies. We're only 2 deep,
yeah.
So
I could not recreate the speech for you that he gives, but it's, I think, probably the only like real scene in the movie that I took super serious. Because that's like the one that I got super invested in, and I just want to know what the hell's in that case at the same time. Like, have you seen some of these theories?
I remember reading these theories before I ever actually saw the movie.
Oh, really? Okay. Because like one of them was saying that it was God inside the case, and if that's the angle he was going for, then it would make sense that it ended with the case in Samuel L. Jackson, because like he was talking about that dude that, we missed the guy with the big gun, the big motherfucking gun, the elephant gun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And how he missed every bullet. And
so maybe Tarantino, while writing that dialogue, is like, no, you're literally supposed to think.
Yeah, right.
Okay, that there was divine intervention here. That's an interesting take.
Yeah. A theory that was supporting that God was in the case was that whoever had the case wasn't getting hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Even though Vince didn't get shot when he totally should have, because he wouldn't have been holding the case unless the case was protecting him. I don't know.
Okay.
But I loved the moment of where he was trying to be super calm, Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
And he still had the flair. You know, the wallet with the bad motherfucker, which I almost got you for Christmas one year. But then I was like, wait, you don't carry a wallet, so never mind.
He's still stylish and cool as hell while... Like, we're introduced to him having a big monologue where he's yelling and angry, and this time he's, like, calculated but angry.
Yeah. Yeah, calculated, angry, but not being untrue to how we know him. Like, tell your bitch to calm down. Calm down, honey bunny. No, tell her bitch calm down. Like that part had me rolling, dude. It was, I don't know, man. There was a lot of layers to this movie.
Well, I also love the way that's crafted. Where those two characters, Tim Roth and Honey Bunny, they're not credited with names in the credits. What does she call him? She's Honey Bunny, and he's Pumpkin. He's Pumpkin. That's what they're credited as. Yeah. So
funny because he's orange in both movies.
Nice.
Oh shit.
So Ringo grabs the manager and he's doing the whole tell everyone yada yada, and then Jules is like, tell that bitch.
Right.
It's like he was listening to everything he did and was like, how can I put this back in his face?
Right. Yeah. I loved it, man. It was so good. I don't know. There was something very, very, again, humanistic about, you know, he didn't want any bloodshed because he was trying to start over again. And it could have very well went the way that he was used to.
Yeah.
Whether he was on the receiving end or not.
Yeah.
You know, he could have easily died there, and somehow he had enough trust to be like, hey, look, I know you're not going to do it.
Yeah, given that he reacts the way he does in that very specific situation, he probably means it harder than any other character in fiction who has said, I'm turning my life around. He probably means it harder than anyone else ever has.
Exactly. And, man, they walk out. Well, you know, Vince being Vince, I'm not going to let you give them $1,500 out of principle. And then
I'm going to shoot him on principle.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot him on principle. And she says that she has to pee and wants to go home. Everyone walks away. Yeah. Everyone walks away safe and goes home. And then what was it after that? The credits roll?
Yeah.
And there was nothing after the credits. Marvel's taught me to always wait. But, man.
Okay, speaking of Marvel.
Your turn.
And shared universes.
Yeah.
Do you notice anything about Travolta's name?
Vincent Vogue? Or Vogue?
Vega.
Does
that stand out to you for any reason?
It does, but I can't remember why. Like, I know that it's...
Mr. Blonde. I'm forgetting his first name now, but he's a Vega. They're supposed to be brothers, and there was going to be a movie with the two of them that never happened.
Okay.
I think...
How does that relate to Marvel?
What's that? Oh, I was relating to Marvel because shared universe. He was trying to do a universe there.
That was a reach, dude. That was such a reach.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that would have been a really cool idea.
Vic Vega. Okay, so Michael Madsen at Mr. Blonde was playing Vic Vega, and yeah, these two were supposed to get another movie where they were brothers. And actually, I guess originally, I don't know if Travolta wasn't interested in it or what happened to make it fall through, but Tarantino actually wanted Travolta to play Vic Vega in Reservoir Dogs, like wrote it with him in mind.
Oh, oh wow, okay. Yeah. Something that I thought of that I don't know if you would have caught. When John Travolta was dancing, were you thinking about the fact that his legs were insured?
I was thinking about Grease. I wasn't aware of that, though.
You didn't know that he has his legs insured?
No, I didn't.
Really, look it up.
Yeah.
It's a ridiculous amount of money. I can't remember how much, but like I want to say near 7 figures.
Yeah, so there was probably an ambulance inside that diner just waiting,
They disguised it as one of the booths,
making sure he was properly protected.
right? Oh goodness, man. There's
Yeah. All right.
I don't know. If you haven't seen this movie, you should really watch it, even though we ruined it. Go watch it again if you're thinking about watching it after seeing this.
If you didn't watch it,
I'm
why
probably
are you
gonna watch
listening
it.
to this?
Yeah. So watch the movie and then watch it again and then come back.
Or don't
We
come
need
back,
those
I
views.
understand.
We need money. We need money to put in our bad motherfucker wallets.
All right. Thanks for listening, and watch out for our next Tarantino Spotlight. Thank you.
Goodbye.